Welcome to the When in Robes podcast. This is the only show where you don't need clothes to travel the world. I'm Carly Konsker, your host and personal travel guide. Let's do the damn thing. Hello. Welcome back to When in Robes. I'm Carly Konsker, and today I am at the Montage in Laguna Beach, California. I'm joined by the incredible co-founder of We Are Travel Girls and Travel Girls Getaway, Becky and Dijk.
Hi, Carly.
Hi, welcome.
Great to be here.
I'm so excited to have you. So tell us a little bit about, before we get into everything, tell us a little bit about We Are Travel Girls and Travel Girl Getaways and kind of the female-focused travel community.
Yeah. We Are Travel Girls is a community that I started in 2016. I was actually working in banking and was a big lover of travel, was at the time looking for a female kind of group trip company and couldn't find anything that wasn't for over 50s and there wasn't kind of something in my age bracket that felt like a great fit for me. At the time as well, I was just Instagram was getting more hot for travel and I wanted to start some travel kind of Instagram account, but felt like I didn't really want to have just a bunch of photos of myself.
Right.
And saw so many women doing amazing things and traveling to different destinations. So started kind of a feature account for just female travelers as a community. And the idea then spun off that people could write for our website and we would be able to not only have our own content on there, but have lots of different women's content. So that was kind of the starting point. And then that idea was still in the back of my mind of I couldn't find this trips company that I'd been looking for. And so after I think only a year or less than a year, maybe 6 months into it, I was like, okay, let's start thinking about our first retreats under the banner of Travel Girls Getaways. And we hosted our first retreats less than a year later, sold out in Bali, which was awesome.
Oh, incredible.
Yeah, so that was the starting point really was just looking for something for myself that I couldn't find, but really it was kind of a hobby at the beginning and then became more of a company from then on.
Amazing. I love it. I think it's incredible, especially the fact that you have so many female travelers that are collaborating in this. And I think that's incredible. We will get back to that also. Yeah. I want to talk a little about the hotel that we are at. Yeah. So we are at the Montage in Laguna Beach. I stayed last night in a Ocean Horizon King. Actually, I think this is a Coastal King since I can see the coast.
Yeah.
I believe they upgraded me from an Ocean Horizon King to a Coastal King, which is very nice. It's a beautiful view. We are overlooking the pool and the ocean, and it's just so relaxing here.
It's a stunning view.
Yeah, there's nothing better. Obviously, there's a king bed and beautiful marble bathroom with a big bathtub, which I love. I will say, for a 5-star hotel, the water pressure sucks. There's zero water pressure here. And I've been in multiple rooms at this hotel before, and the water pressure is awful all around.
But
and
it's a beautiful
it's a beautiful place. So I just want to be honest, if you're going to spend the money and stay here, just so you know, the water pressure isn't great. But the views are gorgeous. Yeah. I say you come here for the views and for the chicken fingers. And I'm excited for us to try them soon. I've had them here before. They're honestly incredible. I'm excited to see you try them and for me to try them. But this hotel has a beautiful spa and gym. They have 2 pools. They have a spa pool and they have a main pool. The spa pool's adult only. The spa is open, but they don't allow, you can't use the lockers or steam room or sauna because of COVID.
Yeah.
Understandable.
Yeah.
I would say, besides all that, this is a great hotel. It's a 5-star hotel. They're so accommodating. Great location. Becky, you're from Newport, which is pretty close to Laguna.
Yeah.
It didn't take you that long?
It took us it's 20 minutes if you look on Waze.
Without traffic,
from Newport Beach, and then about half an hour. So if someone's visiting Newport Beach or visiting Laguna, they're staying here at the Montage in Laguna, they can easily get to Newport Beach, Balboa Island, some of the other things. So great location to be in. There was a little bit of traffic, but I think everyone's just excited to be able to travel a little bit and be outside. Totally. It's a beautiful day, so I think there was a little bit more traffic, but
totally. And the view is beautiful, even if there is traffic, because you're on the PCH.
Exactly. You have that drive down the PCH, which is stunning. The drive from where we were to here is beautiful. So going in reverse, if you were doing that, this is a great location to be in.
Right. I think it's gorgeous. And there's so many hotels, even if you don't stay here, there's beautiful hotels on the coast. Yeah. But we are at the gorgeous Montage. And a lot of people do have like weddings here and stuff. Yeah. Last night there was a wedding. I think it's just a gorgeous hotel to be in. As soon as you walk into the lobby, you get that view of the pool, and it's honestly takes your breath away, like every single time.
Yeah, it's stunning.
So let's get into this. Yeah. So you started in banking, but where did your passion for travel really start from? Like, what sparked it?
Very young age. I mean, I know we talked just before we started that you started traveling probably before you were 1 year old, which was similar. My dad's a pilot and my mom was an air hostess. So I think there's some kind of travel background there.
It's in your blood.
Yeah, and there's photographs of me, I guess, in a swimming pool in maybe Spain or somewhere when I was a baby. So from a very, very young age. And then we traveled, not tons, but traveled during my teenage years. And then as soon as I was kind of 16 to 18, I was like, right, Europe, I'm going to backpack. And that was my first kind of backpacking over the summer. That's very common in England to go and just do a European interrailing trip. So that started. And then I did, as soon as I'd done university, I went and traveled Southeast Asia backpacking, Australia, New Zealand, did mix of traveling with a friend and traveling solo. So I kind of tried everything. And I've just loved to travel. It's been kind of something I've done for years and done in different ways. Done extended backpacking trips. After that, more recently, I did a big South America backpacking trip after I left banking. So had these big extended ones, but also shorter weekend trips. Living in England, it's so easy to get into Europe and get around the world anywhere. You're in such a central hub. So
exactly,
travel's kind of just always been something I've loved doing, and was probably in my blood from my parents, I guess, and my family.
That's incredible. So how many places do you think you've been to at this point? Do you have any idea?
I did count it up, and I think it was like, because everyone was going through I've traveled to this many countries, and I was like, how many? So I think it's like 65 to 70. Wow. And then the thing for me is I keep going back to a lot of the same places.
Of course, if you love somewhere, like you want to go back and see it again.
Exactly. So I've been back to a lot of places that I've been to before, really enjoyed it, and then gone and spent more time there. And one of the things I think when you're younger, especially on my earlier backpacking trips, it's like you'll go. We'll get to the next place. And now we travel more slowly. I travel with my husband, and we spent the summer in Europe, actually, fortunately, before COVID all began. So we did a long summer in Europe, and we just went really slowly. We spent a lot of time in each place and just really enjoyed it. And that's partly why now my numbers probably just stayed around the same, how many countries I've been to, because I'm just keep going back to the same ones or just very slowly traveling.
I love it. So I've never actually been backpacking. Okay. So I think that's really exciting. What's like the number one thing you need in your bag when you are backpacking? If you had to pick just one.
Well, one thing
or you could give me like a top 3.
A top tip for like the bag that you pick first is a lot of people buy a top loading backpack. Mm-hmm. And I think that's just an error, because then you're never going to be able to get the thing at the bottom when you suddenly need it. So having one that unzips all the way around, and potentially one that can convert to even having wheels on it, is like a bonus. I have a great Osprey bag that I've had for just so long. It just lasts forever. And those can convert, so you can pull them as well. So that's kind of a tip on the bag. What you should have inside your bag, packing cubes, so you can get as much in as you possibly can. My mom's been
trying to get me to pack in packing cubes for years.
Yes.
Years. And I have managed to do bathing suits in a packing cube, and sometimes I'll do bras and stuff, but most of the time I'm a roller instead of so to make things fit.
I roll them into the packing cube.
That's smart.
As well.
That's smart.
But I'm definitely a little bit touch OCD, so actually having my suitcase organized into the packing cubes, and tops in one and dresses in another, but it helps just get more in and more accessible and easy to find. So packing cubes, and for real backpacking, some kind of towel, or your own, if you're staying in hostels and you're staying in places, your own kind of pillowcase that you can just put over a pillow is kind of a nice, more luxury thing to add in.
I feel like I know this answer already. So if you are going on an extended trip and you're not backpacking, are you a carry-on, or are you under the plane type of girl?
So my preference is I'd like to have the check bag. My husband's preference is It's a carry-on. So we did 6 months in South America with a carry-on.
No way.
Mm-hmm.
How?
I don't actually know. Looking back, it was definitely pre me running We Are Travel Girls and having kind of the Instagram, having to have outfits and things.
Right.
And I don't really pack for Instagram for sure, but definitely then I wasn't really in any photos. So less clothing options required, I think.
My
but yeah, it was tough. And again, it goes back to that Osprey. I mean, I don't know how we got so much in, but for 6 months, the only thing there is if you're doing a carry-on, you really limit the climates you can visit. So in South America, you can go from Patagonia and need cold weather stuff up to Brazil for
How are you
warm
packing
weather.
for cold weather in a carry-on?
Yeah.
Cold weather
So
stuff is thick.
Exactly. So we had to kind of cut those countries. We cut Patagonia.
Okay.
Which was a shame. So there I'm like, well, but it was a lot easier to be able to just have a carry-on.
Yeah.
And it really made that going from place to place to place so much easier. But yeah, for a girl, tough.
I've never been one to, I can barely, I'll pack in a carry-on if it's one night. Tonight, one night.
Yes.
But I bring options. I'm not a light packer. I don't say I'm a light packer by any means. I will bring the biggest bag with everything and anything I ever need because I'm so crazy. I'm well, what if I forget this? What if I forget that? So I tried to bring everything. And I'm definitely a check bag girl. I have a friend who literally went probably 2 weeks to Greece in a carry-on, and I was I just don't know how. She was my family does carry-ons. Yes. And I go, that's not a family. Yeah. I couldn't even marry into a family like that. One day, I hope my future husband, wherever he is, knows that I will be checking a bag.
I think it's that balance of depending where you're going and what you're bringing. But yeah, it made it easy to do the carry-on. But then when we were traveling around Europe last summer, we did have checked bags and we had a bit more with us.
I think it's a talent to be able to pack in a carry-on or even in a backpack. Yeah, and have multiple outfits and still look cute. It's a talent for sure. So, of all the places you've been to, do you have a favorite?
Country or
you can give me both.
Hotel.
Well,
because I know that.
First we will do country, and then we'll get to your favorite hotel.
So countries, more recently, I visited Montenegro on that European summer trip and absolutely loved it. I feel like it's an underrated destination that people should be definitely going to.
What did you do while you were there?
We went all the way through. So we stayed in Kotor, which is a little old town, super beautiful, quaint. You can stay very central in a hotel or you can do an Airbnb. And you're in this just cobblestone streets, just stunning. And from there's hikes and things that you can do up around Kotor. And also you can go up to Dermator, which is about an hour north. And there's just the most stunning lakes. It's almost like Banff, these beautiful turquoise lakes.
It sounds gorgeous.
Just absolutely stunning. But you also have, from Kotor and from some of the other areas, you have the ocean, very similar to kind of a Croatia, just less people, more chill, really, and cheaper. But
which is definitely a bonus.
Beautiful place to visit. Really, really loved Montenegro. I'd 100% go back, potentially run trips there in the future. A big favorite of mine, though, always has been New Zealand. I loved it. And I would love to.
I've been to New Zealand once. I studied abroad in Australia. And while I was there, my mom came to visit, and the two of us went to New Zealand for, I would say, we just went for a long weekend. Yeah. But it was beautiful. We obviously didn't see all of New Zealand, but it was beautiful.
Yeah, it's stunning. There's nothing quite like the sunrises in New Zealand and the sunsets, the colors and the mountain scenery and... Yeah, if you're a Lord of the Rings fan, you'll
totally. You have to go.
Yeah, exactly.
I love it. So, what is your favorite hotel of all time?
Hotel.
I know it's hard.
It is hard, but there is actually there's a couple of standouts. But one would be Bawa Reserve, which is in Indonesia.
Wow.
It's an eco hotel on 3 private islands. It's the most beautiful place.
Stunning.
Yeah, from Singapore, it's kind of, you get picked up in Singapore and they take you to a small ferry first. You do a small ferry and then you do a seaplane. It's
very remote and very private.
And the most beautiful place because the corals there are the bluest as you fly in. The color is this electric blue coral and it's just everywhere. It's the most stunning place I've ever been in. It's very private, really beautiful. Felt very lucky to be able to go and experience something like that in my life.
When did you go there?
A couple of years ago, 2 or 3 years ago now, and we were living in Bali, so we were able to get over there quite easily. And it's kind of looks like the Maldives and kind of the white water, the clear crystal water, but just one of the most stunning places, very well preserved because it's all eco, all the food, everything is produced there. It's really stunning. So
you said that you were living in Bali?
Yeah.
How long did you live there for?
I lived in Bali for 2 years from, I guess, the year did we move there? Maybe 2017 to 2019.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
How was that? What was that like?
Yeah, great. It was kind of led by my husband and I. I'm English, he's American. We couldn't live in each other's countries for an extended period of time. We weren't married then. So it was that moment to like figure out, can we live together long term?
Oh, I love that. And so you said Bali.
So we just like, let's do it in Bali. Well, he just said, why don't we just move to Bali? And I said, well, you've never been, and I have, and you probably want to go and visit first. So we went and checked it out together, and he was like, yep, this is it, let's move here. So we moved out there and lived for 2 years, which was great for us to kind of have that. We'd had this long distance relationship for a number of years, so it was great to have that time together, and we got engaged there, and and got married later. But yeah, it was an awesome place to be. There's a lot of like pros and cons to living in Bali. There's a lot of pros in that lifestyle of kind of the digital nomad. There's a lot of cons in that, you know, there's huge spiders where you live.
I would be petrified. Yeah. I don't think I could
Particularly in my house that I lived in.
No, how big?
Like
don't tell,
like hand size.
Like I'm not good with like animals and spiders and any.
After this, I can show you, because other people are like, no, we never saw spiders that big. I was like, in my house, I have photographs. They are the hugest,
what did you do?
Hugest things. Well, it depends on which ones they were. But we did have a gardener who would come and sometimes scoot them out. Otherwise, they had to take a end their life. That was a negative. You have to ride a bike there. You know, you don't have cars, so you have to ride a bike. And just some of those things were just, after a while, it's great to live there. It's a great place to visit. Beautiful. Bali's beautiful. But to live for long term, it wasn't for us for the long term. So we moved. That's when we moved back. We moved to England for a little bit of time and then moved to California.
I love it.
But yeah, good place to connect with people. There's a great vibe. Awesome place to live, and to have lived somewhere else in my life is cool. To be there for a couple of years.
Amazing. Fun. So you've curated a lot of trips.
Yeah.
What do you look for, like when you're curating this, like these types of trips? Like, is there something specific you look for, whether it's hotels or locations or activities? What are the type of things that you think about when you're curating trips for these women?
A lot of things. First is the destination. So what's like a hot up and coming destination that people are really interested in visiting, just so that we know that obviously that there's the demand. Finding a balance between somewhere that people feel is not a scary place to visit, but is somewhere that they're like, I'd feel more comfortable if this was in a group environment, or it's just too hard for me to organize the whole thing. You know, this seems like a lot to organize. So that's the first step. Then hotels is huge. We call our trips like affordable luxury, but honestly, anyone comes on, they're like, this is a luxury trip. Like this is high-end luxury. So we do pick really, really stunning, beautiful hotels. In Bali, it would be a villa. We picked an amazing villa that we are in, and one of the best villas I've seen in Bali. And then in Morocco, we stay in 5-star riads, like really gorgeous, incredible places that are definitely in that nice high luxury area. But really the big thing for us is the experiences during that week. So making once in a lifetime experiences that the group probably wouldn't do if they were on their own. Right. So for example, in Morocco, we do a cooking school, but it's done in this beautiful, it's like a country club gardens. You go and have a lot of education around the food, and mint tea is a huge thing in Morocco. And then the cooking is like this luxurious experience, but then afterwards we do a whole like event in the evening. So it's a big dinner. There's so nice. Music, dancers, fire. Like there's a lot of things, and it's just us.
And it makes it so special.
Yeah, such a special like beautiful tented kind of tent overlooking this pool in this country club. It's just stunning, and it's just us. And it's those kind of experiences that you probably couldn't get on your own if you were just going as a couple or with a friend. curating kind of once in a lifetime experiences like that, and just seeing people's faces going, this is just incredible. I would never have done this without being on this trip. So
Absolutely.
that's a huge part of what we try and do, is make those really special experiences for people.
It's amazing. It sounds incredible. Like, I'm like, I want to go, take me there right now. With COVID and everything, I assume that you haven't really been able to do these trips.
Yeah.
What is next on your bucket list?
So bucket list for me personally, I really want to see more of the States, to be honest, because I just moved here and I wasn't able to come into the US whilst I was waiting for my visa. So seeing a few more areas, even just towns, like we recently went to Nashville. I would love to go to Charleston, Savannah, some of those places. I also going to Moab, doing some hiking. Those things are all on my list too. So I have a lot of like US destinations on my list. Going overseas, I have started to get back into my mind like Chile and Peru, because I haven't been to those two, even though I've done a lot of South America and Central America. I've pretty much done everything. So those two are on my list for this, as soon as sort of travel opens up a bit, I think.
I love it. Yeah. Do you have any trips coming up for the girls' getaway trips?
Yeah, for the girls' getaways trips, we haven't planned anything yet, because we're kind of in this pause where we're waiting to see. I think things are starting to open up, but it's opening up at a different speed for different countries.
Staggered all
it's
around.
Staggered. So we're just waiting and seeing right now. Our big international trips would probably be on hold, like the Moroccos and the Africas, but that brings it back to what we had been planning to launch in 2020. At the beginning of 2020, we were gearing up for doing long weekend getaways. So more of like a Joshua Tree 3 or 4 day trip, a Palm Springs girls getaways, and some, like I just said, Moab, like smaller 3-4 day trips that people, a lot of our audiences are professional women and they work and they just want to take, a weekend, but maybe just take off the Friday and maybe the Monday. So that had been our plan, was to launch these weekend getaways all in the US, and we've been working on those in 2019, and then 2020 hit, unfortunately, and held that back a bit. So I think now other travel companies are probably thinking they're going to do the same because of COVID. But that's still on our agenda to maybe launch those and do them more US as the US is opening up. So
I think that's great. I love that. So I always ask people, have you had any crazy travel disaster stories? Like, as you've been traveling all around, everyone has one.
I'm thinking of lots, actually. I'm like, yes, definitely lost my luggage. Only once. That's actually only ever happened to me once.
That's great.
Did make it. It was a good excuse to go and like hit up. It was actually, we were in Jerusalem. So I was like, this is not going to be the place to be able to buy anything. And then Googled and was like, there's a Zara and a Mango. Like,
you're like, I think I'm all set.
I arrived at like 3 a.m. My luggage didn't arrive. They were like, it will take 3 days. And then I Googled thinking, well, there's no way I'm going to be able to get anything. They're like, there's a Mango, a Zara, and something else. So I kind of went the next day and picked up just some things for the couple of days. So only happened once. One crazy story was in the Philippines. If you travel to the Philippines, there's lots of islands, so you're going to end up flying around a lot, and this is something to just be aware of, that you're taking lots of internal flights. We did one internal flight. We were going to the island Donsol to go to see the whale sharks, and by the way, that's an ethical place to see whale sharks in
that's
the Philippines.
Good to know.
So if you're going to Philippines, avoid Cebu and go to somewhere like Donsol where there's actually protections around it. So that's something good to know. But we were flying from Manila to Donsol. We take the flight, and I'm actually not a great flyer.
Really?
I'm not a good flyer.
For someone that travels so much, I'm shocked.
And my dad's a pilot, my brother's a pilot, everyone's into flying, and I'm a terrified flyer. So as usual, we're flying and I'm just like, this is bad. And we come into land, and I was saying to Ryan, my husband, I was like, this isn't good. And for some reason that time he went, oh, I'm just going to film you so you can see how irrational I'm being. So he starts filming me, and I was like, this isn't funny. You shouldn't like film me. But you can look back and see like everything's fine. It's all fine. Yeah. And of course it wasn't actually fine for once.
No.
So the first time he'd ever done that, and as we're coming into land, and we're pretty low and it's really bumpy and the sky's kind of purple and it looks pretty bad. As we come into land, we probably not more, I mean, maybe it was more than 50 feet above, we do an aborted landing. Literal, just like the plane just has to
go right
from
back
where
up.
it is to right back up at speed. And it's actually, they can say it's dangerous to an extent because they're literally changing the engines,
right,
and taking off again. So we took off, and there's nothing. No one's telling you anything, because obviously at that point the like priority for pilots is to just get you back up and out of the storm and the thing that you're in. But there's a big mountain, so there's a lot of wind coming in, which was why. So of course that was the one time.
And you're in a full blown panic at this point.
I'm like freaking out. So but more, I was kind of like, see, I told you. Didn't seem like
didn't seem like anything.
Didn't seem like it was right. I told you. So my husband was like, oh, of course, the one time I film you and say it's fine, obviously everything's fine, it wasn't. And then we had to fly all the way back to Manila and do the same thing the next day. So they didn't even try and land again. So usually
the weather was that bad.
Usually with an aborted landing, if they're even trying to land, then they just miss and circle back and do it again. But they were like, actually, no, that was just too bad. We're just going to...
I don't even know how you got on the plane the next day.
Well, I wasn't impressed.
That could not be fun.
No, when you don't like flying, to have to do the flight and then go back again and then do it again, I was like, that's way more than I really signed up for. But
completely.
It worked out.
Who are either one or like your top 3 travel influencers that people should follow that they may not know about? Yeah. I always think it's fun to like kind of discover new people and to learn about new people to follow for travel inspo. And stuff like that. So, I mean, there's lots of big names that I love. And actually, I'll probably mention a couple of people. So I haven't mentioned, but I also teach blogging. So that's one of the things that I have on my website. I teach on Becky Van Dijk. I do more about blogging education. And I have, of course, the Blog Elevation program. So it's probably worth mentioning like a couple of my students. Yeah, absolutely. Give them a shout out. Up and coming kind of travel bloggers. So one is a student of mine and I coach her, is Katie Black, and her blog is Yumi Under the Palm Tree. She writes a lot of like English content at the moment, partly because that's kind of what I've been coaching her to do, because that's what she's getting a lot of traffic for. Beautiful content from the Cotswolds, Devon. You know, if you're in England, it's a great blog to be looking at. But she's also written a lot about Greece, Italy, and is now moving to Bali. So she's someone that's new. Someone that people may know is Alexandra the Wayfarist. She was a student of mine back in 2017 and has gone on to do great things with her blog and her as an influencer and an Instagrammer. Another one that's a big name that I've always followed from kind of the beginning was My Life's a Travel Movie, Alyssa Ramos, that a lot of people know. I just kind of liked her honesty and the way that she portrays travel, and has been a solo traveler for a number of years. So that was probably much more of an early person that I followed and have met a couple of times. So those are 3 that are, up and coming, kind of mid, and someone that's more established. We'll have to check them all out. Yeah. So before we get into the chicken fingers, let's talk a little about robing after dark. So robing after dark, we usually talk about like the nightlife and what to do in the city that we're in. We are in Laguna, very close to Newport, where you are living. Just from the hotel wise, the hotel has 2 restaurants here. Yeah. And then they also have a lounge in the lobby with like a piano player that you can get drinks and whatnot. They have the loft, which is on the 4th floor. And then they have, I believe it's called the studio. And the studio is by the water. And they also have a garden here. So I have a feeling that the studio has food that specifically like homegrown, farm table type of situation. And then obviously room service. So I had room service last night. I will say, a little underwhelming. If you're coming to the Montage, I would recommend ordering breakfast for room service. Yeah. I recommend ordering the chicken fingers. Yeah. And by the pool also, they also have Mosaic Grill. So Mosaic Grill's by the pool. So I guess they have 3 restaurants. Okay. I lied. They have 3 restaurants. You don't have to leave. Yeah. But if you're by the pool, I highly recommend the nachos are really good. They have a teriyaki grilled chicken sandwich that's good. And obviously the chicken tenders. They have an adult version of the chicken tenders that are like a tempura fried chicken tenders. Don't get those. Oh, okay. Get the kids' chicken tenders. If you feel uncomfortable ordering from a kid's menu, don't. I do it all the time. But that's just at the hotel. And then obviously they have like guac and chips and stuff. Last night, I would say the dinner room service menu is a little underwhelming. I had chicken, which wasn't great. The mashed potatoes were fine. The ice cream was fine. And I'm a chocolate lover, and like for me to say it's fine, that means it's not that great.
Okay.
But their breakfast here is world class. Like I had blueberry pancakes, I had avocado toast and eggs, I had their fingerling potatoes that go with the eggs are incredible. Yeah. So I highly recommend breakfast here. I highly recommend the chicken fingers here. And I kind of want to know, where do you like to go in the area?
I was just talking to you about this, and I moved to Newport Beach in April last year, so prime worst time.
So you really haven't explored a lot
but
here.
Yeah, we're just starting to go out more again. I just went out for dinner with a friend in Javier's, which is Mexican.
It's delicious.
A lovely vibe there, very cool venue, a great bar setup, so you can do sort of more of a high top seating area. Yeah. Anything on the Mexican menu, and delicious. The cocktails, the margaritas. I had a cucumber margarita, which was divine, so I would highly recommend that. And I think we just had to share the fajitas and some tacos, so that I would recommend.
And that's closer to Newport.
Yeah, it's a little closer to Newport. Other places as well, Newport and in areas like for lunches, over by Lido Island. So along there's a couple of places like Malibu Farms, Zinc Restaurant. They're great kind of brunchy
I think
places.
Nobu's over there.
Yeah, Nobu, just next to, there's Nobu there. Along that little strip, there's some great little restaurants to try out.
And there's really cute stores over there as well.
Yeah.
I was here around like March, like the first week in March, and we ended up walking around over there, and it's so cute. And it's right on the water. It's really
beautiful.
pretty.
It's a great little spot, especially if you're maybe taking out a Duffy for the day to do brunch beforehand. Zinc does like not a bottomless brunch, but I think the first mimosa is $12, and then after that it's $6. So you're just like,
do you get the brown rice bowl there?
I haven't had it actually.
So Zinc, I don't know, I'm sure it's the same menu, but in LA they have 2 or 3 Zincs, and they have this amazing, it's called the Le Bowl. Yeah. It's a brown rice bowl with arugula, rotisserie chicken, spicy mayo, avocado, tomatoes, I think Parmesan. It's so good.
Yeah.
It's really good.
But around Laguna, really anything that overlooks the beach.
Yeah, and everything's pretty casual here.
Yeah.
So you don't really have to worry about getting too dressed up if you go out here. But everything's kind of beautiful, and you can walk to a lot of places too. I also wanted to mention, I don't know if you've ever been, but Rocky Mountain Chocolate Factory.
Oh, no, I haven't.
So it's in Laguna Beach. You have to pass it on your way to Newport.
Yeah.
And it's a chocolate factory that they have these like chocolate and caramel covered apples, and they're known for their apple pie apple. Don't ask me how, but it literally tastes like an apple pie, but it's white chocolate covered apple with like cinnamon sugar.
That sounds delicious.
It is unreal. It's so Rocky Mountain Chocolate Factory, it is a West Coast based company. I used to go to the one in Aspen, and that one no longer exists. I think it still exists in the Denver airport. But apparently there are locations like in Palm Springs that I've never been to or seen. But this is the only one I know of that's close enough to me. Yeah. And whenever I'm out here, I'm always like, I have to stop by. I grew up going to Rocky Mountain Chocolate Factory. So if you're in the area, I highly recommend checking out their sweets. It's really, really good. So let's get to in-robe dining, everyone's favorite part. We finally made it. We have our mimosas been sitting here. Cheers. Let's take a sip. So we made it to the strip down. The chicken fingers look amazing.
They do.
Let's just be real. They smell incredible. They look really crisp.
Yeah.
The fries, I asked for the fries to be crisp. They're soggy. That's just a fact. And maybe it's because I'll taste the fry first, but maybe it's because they were sitting there for a minute, but crispy fries are crispy fries. Yeah. These are not worth it. So let's try them.
Yeah.
Official rating. You can see the salt on them. Yeah, and they're really crispy. And they look amazing.
They're very good.
Okay. So the breading stays on. It's really crisp. They are all white meat. None of that like weird stuff that sometimes chicken fingers have. Like the stuff that freaks people out. They're not, even though they have salt on them, they're not too salty.
No, they're not. They're perfect.
They're honestly amazing.
Yeah, they're really good.
These could be my highest rated chicken fingers since doing the show. Really? And I'm not kidding.
And you always do chicken fingers.
Mm-hmm. So my official strip down rating on a scale of 1 to 10. And this is going to surprise a lot of people because it's very difficult to get a high score here. Mm-hmm. I've never given this high of a score before, but I'm giving these a 9. A 9. Is that
the highest you've ever given?
It's the highest I've ever given.
Well, that's good.
I think I almost gave an 8 once, but I never gave an 8.
Wow.
A 9 is out of this world incredible. You have to run, not walk for these.
Yeah.
I will say, though, if the fries were just as good as the chicken tenders, they would have gotten a 10.
10, yeah. Agreed.
And that's crazy. The fact that I could even consider giving someone a 10.
Yeah.
But I would say, so far, 1 in Robes. So far for the strip down, these are a 9 out of 10. The fries are like a 2. Okay, I'll be a little generous. Yeah. So they're a 3.5. Yeah. But the chicken tenders are 100% in my book a 9.
They are.
A 9 out of 10.
I'd agree. Yeah.
Whoa.
I'd agree with you.
I'm so happy that we agree on this.
Really good. And I agree the fries could do better.
And honestly, the breading is just like perfect. Yeah. Not too bready. Nice. It's crisp. It stays.
The chicken's good on the inside. Mm-hmm. Yeah, delicious.
So as we're sitting here eating, I forgot to mention how this lost my mind with the title of the show being When in Robes.
Yep, most important thing.
We didn't mention the robes.
We didn't mention
As we were eating our chicken, I'm like,
wearing them.
We're wearing our robes. So on a scale, I would say, I can't even do a scale of 1 to 10 for these, but this is awful. I hate to say it. It's not even that big of a robe.
Yeah. It's not the best. I like
it's very thin.
Design I like.
Oh, yeah. I would say the blue trim is cute.
Blue trim.
The hood is different. I've never really seen an adult robe with a hood.
I'm into it.
I like it. I like it. Model it, Becky.
Cute.
Model it.
Kind of cute. We like the hood.
But it's not soft.
It's not soft.
It's not really thick. It's not something that you kind of want to keep on your body.
It's like it didn't go through the dryer.
It's very much terry cloth.
Yeah. It could be good. I think it just needs to be softer and it needs to be thicker. But maybe it's more of a summery feel.
This is not something I'm like, oh my gosh, I have to slip on after my shower. I'm like, my shower would be ruined by this.
You'd be like, it's a bit scratchy.
So the robe is a miss. The robe is a miss. The chicken fingers is a must.
A must, yeah.
A must. Exactly. And the mimosas are a must. So we made history. We got 9 out of 10 for chicken tenders. We explored the beautiful Montage in Laguna Beach. Thank you so much for joining me, Becky. This has been incredible. I'm so happy I got to meet you, and I can't wait to see where both of us travel next. Hopefully one day we will travel together.
I hope so.
It will be incredible. Yeah. Thank you so much, and stay tuned to see where we end up next. I'm Carly Konsker. I'm your host, and I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye. Thanks so much for listening to today's episode. Don't forget to subscribe, rate us, and leave a review. And as always, follow us on Instagram at OneInRobesPod. And while you're there, you might as well follow me at Carly Konsker. See you next time.